fantastically, classically, amazingly London. Guys, welcome back to Making Everyday Magic. My name is Shauna, and if you are new here, we are a homeschooling family of 4 who loves to encourage you along your homeschooling journey. We love and prioritize secular curriculum and choices, but we also absolutely love to travel. And we have recently returned from a London vacation, and so I am coming here in about 5-ish part series to share our London experience. And today's video is all about the things that are unique to London. Guys, before we go any further, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me right on down in the comments or over on Instagram at Making Everyday Magic. So, as I said, this is a 5-part series. I did film before about things we'd already planned and what budget was gonna look like, but I'm taking 2 full posting weeks and sharing everything kind of post-trip. So my last video will be like a budget recap, what we actually spent, and like a recap of our trip. The first video in this series was like all the logistical things, right? So like travel, hotels, flights, and it did wind up being quite long. It was like 30 minutes. So for those of you who watched that full thing, much love to you, because I kept thinking about how to split it up. If I wanted to split it up, it doesn't really fit in my posting schedule if I do split it up. So it was like a whole thing. And then the next one was museums of London, because there's so many amazing, paid, tons of free. This one, which is things that are uniquely London. And then the other one that I haven't mentioned yet is like magic and castles and just I don't know how else to explain it, just those things. So those are the 5 parts. Yes, okay, so this one is things that are uniquely London. So I do have a list over here because, well, I mean, we can't trust my brain to remember all the things. So I've got a list. If you see my head whipping back and forth, I try to edit it out, but I always find that I start talking or stop talking before I've like whipped my head. So there's that. And then because I am rapid firing all of this and kind of snippeting it, I do plan to share a little bit more individual thing over on Instagram. But if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to ask me. I am always incredibly happy to share, especially if there's interest. But it's one of those, it's hard for me to know on this side of the screen where that interest is. Sorry, I tried to say where and what at the same time. It came out really weird. But it's hard for me to know where that interest is. So if you want anything specific, by all means, let me know. Oh, and I did also do a packing video. That was more about like if we could do it. So that, okay, so we are going to dive right in. I hope you're ready. So I am hoping that none of these goes as long as the first one. And yeah, I don't think it will. I don't think it will, because I'm going to try to be really concise, and which I've already not done. So I'm really sorry. I try. Girl tries. That is just, I'm a little wordy. That's kind of what I do. Okay, so let's start with, we did a lot of viewing platforms. Why? One, I flippin' love them. I love to go up high. I like to get a look. So we did do a lot of viewing platforms. We did Sky Garden, which does offer free tickets. It's gorgeous. It's like a garden inside the top. It's called the Walkie-Talkie, which I don't think that I realized. There's also a building called the Gherkin, which is, if you are unfamiliar, pickle. So the names of the buildings are kind of rad, but yeah, I just said rad. What year is this? Jeez. Anyway, so Sky Garden is in a garden inside the top of a skyscraper called the Walkie-Talkie. There's also like a platform where you can go outside, and they do have restaurants and bars up there. It's very pretty. They do limit ages. After 6 p.m. kids aren't allowed. But if you, like me, are willing to stalk and use your Disney skills like I did to secure tickets, you can actually get free tickets ahead of time. So there is Sky Garden. There is also the Shard, which is a paid entrance. It was included in our London pass, and I will probably talk more about our London pass on my recap video, but basically like you pay a fee to get access to a bunch of attractions for like a reduced cost. Go City Pass. They have them all over in London. It's called the London Pass. So we did do the Shard as well, and we also climbed 311 steps. I have a certificate to prove it, for the Monument to the Great Fire, which has a platform you can go out on. And at my kids' behest, we went up, 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 and up, and up, and up, and up. and out onto the tiny, tiny little platform at the very tip-top peak of St. Paul's Cathedral. I don't have any pictures of that one because my husband was like crouching in the doorway, having an absolute fit. He doesn't love heights. And like the railing was like, he knows code and it was below code. And we did not pause to take any pictures of that one whilst we were up there, but we have the shared lived experience. Grandparents did not truck up that one. It was real. It was intense. Super fun. There is another one that is now free as well called Horizon 22. Every time I checked, their tickets were all not available. So it's free, but you have to secure a ticket ahead of time. And then there's also the London Eye, which we stayed right by, could see from our hotel window. However, it literally opened because they close every year for, I guess, maintenance. And we were there in the off season. So it was closed while we were there and it reopened literally the day that we left. So there was no way for us to get that one in. But you know, because I've heard mixed bags on that. Like it takes 45 minutes to get all the way around. You're kind of stuck in your pod. There's not anything else to do. So that we did do all, not the monument and not St. Paul's, but the Sky Garden and the Shard. We did do kind of right at dusk time. It was amazing. And I would like to say at the Shard, like you take your high-speed elevator all the way up, and all of these have like bag checks, security, like scanners, like at the airport. So factor that into your time. We did show up to the Shard like 45 minutes or an hour early ahead of our reservation. And nobody ever actually checked the time on that because we were hoping it would just kind of work. And so it was like, yeah, we have our ticket. And they just kept zipping us through. And it also was not busy, again, off season. So I think that helped us. But we did show up early and it worked in our favor because we didn't want to have to like go find, because it wasn't enough time to like go get dinner and come back. It was like a whole thing. It was the last night we were there. But it worked out. Moral story, it worked out. But you take like one high-speed elevator up a significant amount. Elevator's very pretty. It's got like a projection on the top, like a screen. And then you transfer to another high-speed elevator that takes you the rest of the way up, 76 something floors, I don't know. But then you can walk around. It's very pretty. It's very nice. Then you can actually climb another few flights of stairs, not a ton, just a little, and go outside. So I'm so glad that we did that because it's not very clearly marked. I didn't feel like, but I was glad that we did that. And it's got like the, floor to all the way up, just glass. It's stunning. It was gorgeous. We loved it. I love these things. So that for me was really awesome. St. Paul's, stunning, gorgeous. They have free available headsets and they have like a family tour on there. So it's one of the most, and for the longest time, it was the tallest building. But it's iconically London. And they have a wonderful tribute to American forces for World War II. It's a gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous cathedral and church. So if you get an opportunity to do that. Be aware if you start climbing the stairs that you just go on forever. So long. I have a little, I have a video that I took of it. So we're climbing the stairs. So there's like a little whisper dome circle inside the dome. So we go to that and we can see like another ledge. And so I'm like, oh, the stairs must go there. No, the stairs do not go there. The stairs bypass that and they go to another place. And then there's one more place that is actually on the outside of the building. So the top 2 floors are on the outside of the building. And there is a point when we are standing on like a metal rack that has a little hole in the center and you can look straight down to the cathedral floor. And from there, we still climbed up a few more flights of stairs before we went outside. So I've got a video that just is so high and just so many stairs. And somehow we did all of the stairs in like 2 days. It was like thousands and thousands and thousands of stairs in 2 days. And I was dying, y'all. I got buns of steel after that, buns of steel. After that, we went over and we walked across the Millennium Bridge, which if you don't know what that is, it's like it's a walk bridge. So there's no cars or anything like that, but claim to fame. If you are watching, I think it's the 7th Harry Potter movie, there's people walking and it's when the Death Eaters have started attacking regular muggles in the real world and they like fly all around it and it causes it to, that is that bridge. Okay. So that's why I made my family walk across that. Plus it's right over by St. Paul's and connected us gorgeously comes out the other end near the Globe Theater. We had the absolute freaking best time at the Globe Theater. The person who gave us a tour, it was my party of 6 and then a Hungarian family of 3. This tour, oh God, it was so good. It was such a good tour. Our tour guide, you could tell like this was his heaven. Like he was in his element. It was so good. I loved it so much. Honestly, one of the highlights of our entire trip, which is unexpected for me because it's just one of those things like, okay, we do it because it's like a thing you do and it's iconic and whatever, but hands down, an amazing experience. So, and in the basement, my kids could put on costumes. It was fun. I loved it. I'm glad we went. We did go again in the off season, so there wasn't any show that we could go see because we debated on doing that. But it was awesome, and I loved it. If you could, I mean, both of my kids completely enamored the whole time, even the 7-year-old. And if you get a chance, it was so good. It was so good. There were people there while we were there. They were having a class on the stage. That was fun. We got to sit in all the different levels of seat. It was so good. It was, I mean, I cannot say enough good things about the Globe Theater Tour. So good if you get a chance to do that. London Bridge, right? London Bridge is not Tower Bridge. And if you don't know that before you go, it's okay. Tower Bridge is the one that looks like a stinking tower, right? It's the one that you think of when you think of London Bridge. London Bridge is actually the bridge that's closest to that, further up the river. And we went to, okay, so I'm getting ahead of myself. So we did Tower Bridge. It's like a whole tour. It's so fun. They gave my kids like a pamphlet with like a cat on it. When you find the cat on, you get these stamps. And then you go and like you work your way up. And when you go up, there's a glass floor portion. So you can like walk. It was so cool. And you like cross one way and you go around, you cross the other way and there's glass floors. So you're like walking across it. And my kids like walk across it because they're like so cool. You know, some people have a problem with heights. My children are not those people. I am not those people. The rest of my party didn't love it. But it was super cool. And they give you like a little sticker that says like, I did Tower Bridge, glass floor, whatever. It was so cute. And I absolutely loved it. We had the best time, unexpectedly awesome. So that was fun. I was so glad that we did it. It was amazing. But anyway, so they talked about when they opened the bridge, you know, and it was like, so I looked at the schedule and they were going to be opening the bridge for maintenance lifts the last day that we were in our first hotel, the morning before we transferred. And so I talked my sweet 4-unit into, because I wanted to go see it. I wanted to go see it open. I drug them. It took us like a half an hour to get over there. We weren't going to make it the full way before it opened. So we stopped. We walked out onto London Bridge. It was also the wettest it was the whole time. The weather was, so good. It was sunny. It was cloudy a little bit, but we never used an umbrella. I don't know how. It was like 40s, 50s. It was the weather. Oh, the weather was so good. Anyway, so it was like the worst weather of the whole trip. I get them up. It's like dark and gray. I drag them out. They wanted to go. Okay, so I didn't force them because I was happy to just go on my own. But they're good sports and they love me so much. So we all went and we stood on the London Bridge and we waited. And the time came and the time went. So it was like 12 minutes past when they were supposed to, and all of a sudden, meep, and it didn't even open all the way. And then that was it. So, I mean, we got pictures. I was so happy. They loved me so much, and we went and did it, and it was awesome, and it was amazing, and Tower Bridge is so fun. Yeah, but Tower Bridge is not London Bridge. There are an absolute ton of bridges in London. Okay, because it's like it's completely cut in half by the Thames. So, I mean, there are just an absolute ton of bridges in London. So, pay attention. Yes, you know, there's only a few that really are like the bridges, as I've mentioned. Something else that we did that I had learned about ahead of time. So when we originally started looking at this, I looked at tours that would do Windsor, Bath, and Stonehenge because we knew we wanted to do Stonehenge, and then I really wanted to do Windsor. But Bath, I was like, So I started looking for things that were Roman in London, which I didn't realize there was so much Roman stuff in London. But there's like a portion of the Roman wall by the Tower of London, which is not this video. I think that's the next video with magics and castles and things. And then there is, I guess, After World War II, with the bombs that had gone off, we did, it unearthed some Roman artifacts in this one spot. And so there's a place, and it is in a shopping mall now. And like you go in and you like go down the floors. It's an art and event space. And again, they had stuff for my kids to do, which I think is just, it was like a scavenger hunt and like a workbook. It was so cool. And they had just reopened because they put in a new art installation. But you go in and the people are so kind and wonderful. But basically it is a Roman archaeological dig site, and they found a temple, the Mithraeum, that is dedicated to Mithras. It was like a cult back in the day, whatever. But it's so cool because you go in and like the lights dim and it's like a whole little like immersive thing for a couple minutes, but you can look around, and again, the activities for my kids to do. So that was really cool. Tickets are free. You just have to sign up for them ahead of time. They have tons of tickets all the time. But again, for us, it's one of those things that we had to push toward the end of our trip because it literally opened the day that we went, from having an art installation put in, which I always love art. Art's great. You know, we do a lot of art museums and things. So it was awesome. It was awesome. So I was so glad that we did that. But it's like, so you're like walking into a shopping mall and here's Roman temple. Like, wait, what? It is wild. London is just, I don't know if you can get this anywhere. It's just wild. So that was amazing. Then from our Mithraeum, one of the things that was available on our London pass was an escape room. Okay, but not just any escape room. An escape room that is Sherlock inspired, but not just Sherlock inspired. Literally stars, and is written by the people who do the BBC Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman. Hello. It was so cool. You go to like an obstetrician's office, again in a mall, and you have to do a secret code word. Guys, we've never successfully passed an escape room without hints before, and I realize now that's because none of them are so well thought as this one was. Our team of 6, which features 2 children, we finished in 58 minutes and 16 seconds. We killed it. We killed it. They have a Sherlock inspired, and you can just go do this, bar called the Mind Palace. It was so cool. It was so cool. And I'm going to talk about the savings with this, because if I had paid for it, it was it would have been 227 American dollars for my family of 4, but it was included in our London pass, and we will talk about those savings in our budget video, but trust me, made it worth it. Plus, it's one of the few things, because so many attractions have such limited hours, like 10 to 6. And this was one of the things that we could do after. So it was like, it didn't conflict with anything. It fit nicely into my color-coded spreadsheet. So it worked out really well. But it was like, it was so cool. It was so cool. We had the best time. Have I told you we've had the best time? We had the best time. And planning. Planning is why. It is absolutely because of planning. I also did the London Zoo, which I was really excited about because it is one of the oldest zoological societies in the world. Not the oldest, I think that's in Germany, but one of the. And it was nice. It does make me appreciate our home zoo all the more, because we have, it's just like with the museums, we have honestly like a state-of-the-art zoo, and it's really, really good. London Zoo was great. I'm glad we did it. The kids had the best time. We spent way more time there than I even expected to. We just let them run around, walk around, see all the things they wanted to see. They were happy as clams. It was very interactive. One of the coolest things that I thought that they had in their bug house is they had like rope that had been stiffened, so it had specific shape and held its shape. And so they had the leaf cutter ants going from one enclosure to another fully out, because they're just on this rope. They can't go anywhere else, but it was like out and with you. They also had, and this was so stinking cool, they had a room that was like straight arachnophobia. So like you go in and there's spiders everywhere, but like in with you, okay? Like you walked into their home, okay? Like Aragog is gonna come out and get you. Like it was wild. It was wild. It was so cool. And it's one of those things where afterwards you're like, ooh, even I was just talking about it, I'm like, it's okay. But it was so cool. Oh, so cool. So that was so fun. I loved that. That was like, yeah, that might have been my favorite part of the zoo. It was so cool. We got to meet like a tiger out front for some reason. I don't fully understand. Yeah, and it was smaller than I expected, because that was another thing. When I was trying to gauge how much time we would need there, everyone's like, oh, it's 3 to 4 hours or 3 hours or whatever. I'm like, I have a hard time with that. And I'm not good at like no concept spatial reasoning. Like I need some, like I can't ever get the food to fit in a Tupperware. It's way bigger Tupperware, way too small Tupperware. Like I can't That's not for me. So I had to like, okay, how many acreages is that? How many acreages is my home zoo? Okay, that for me was how I figured out how to do that. Anyway, it was so good. It was so good. And we learned at the Tower of London that basically once the animals had eaten enough people there and not gotten proper care, they were transferred to the London Zoo, kind of like was started for the animals that used to be held at the menagerie of the Tower of London. But that's a story for another day. Parks. The parks were so great. So we did Hyde Park, which is gorgeous. It's like Kensington area. Like Kensington Palace is in Hyde Park, but it's like Central Park, but they have a lot of large green spaces, but they also have a lot of like large, no tree in sight spaces. Hyde Park, it's like Central Park, think of it that way. They have Princess Diana's Memorial Playground. Oh, it's like manned, it's walled in, great bathrooms, right next to a place where I can get hot chocolate, fantastic hot chocolate, which they do with steamed milk, like a coffee espresso machine, and not just with hot water, like instant. Oh, it's good. This is how we spent so much money, but that's, again, a story for another video. Okay, so great playground, like so good. We had a great time. We also were in Hyde Park. They had a great playground. Again, so good. That was after the zoo. So good. Such a great time. The parks were stunning. Walking through them, seeing the royal swans, the parks were so good. We had such a good time. But that's something that I think is really important when you do travel with children, is to make sure to build in things that they will be very excited about, but that also they can just, that energy, they can only, just like with homeschool, right? They can only sit still and be good for so long that they need that outlet where you're like, just run free, you wild beasts, enjoy your life. And they just, and climbing and running and all of the things. And you have to drag them away, kicking and screaming and crying, no matter how long it's been, because it's just never enough time. You know, I know you know. You feel me. Squares. They have a lot of squares in London. You have to think about the time that it was built, right? Like that's where people gather. Trafalgar Square, gorgeous, so pretty. Statues. There's statues and art everywhere. Walking along the riverbank, giant gorillas over by St. Paul's. Trafalgar Square, Leicester Square has like Mary Poppins and Bugs Bunny, which my kids didn't know because they're Disney kids. So many statues and fun and wild things, and they have a Disney, they had a Disney store, Lego store, M&M store, a wild, funky clock, which I'm gonna cycle back to in a minute, but squares, public art, statues everywhere. It makes my heart happy and I love it, and you should visit them because they're awesome and fun and amazing. Like a 5-story Lego store, you can't beat that. Himley's Toy Store. Oh, and markets. There's, Leicester Market, was it Leicester Market? No. Leavenhall Market, Borough Market, the markets. Oh God, the markets were so good and so cool. And I wish we had taken time to eat at more of them and just enjoy them, but I've got some pictures I'll throw in for you. Enjoy the markets. It's just a local thing, right? I'm not the person who travels somewhere and I'm like, I want to live like a local. I don't want to do that. I want to do the tourist crap. That's why I came here. Okay, it's why you even registered as a blip on my radar. But there is a lot to be said for doing things like eating more like a local and enjoying those things that make that space classically that space. And I feel like we did a very good job of doing that in London. It was very exciting to me. So we did do the markets and the squares. I just wish we had spent more time in the markets and eaten in the markets and things like that, as opposed to just enjoying them as a pass through to somewhere else. So that is something that I wish we had done a little differently, which could be my different for the end of this video. So maybe I'll circle back if I remember that. Okay, Himley's Toy Store. Holy smokes and a half. This toy store, it is a toy store on crack. Like if you think of the toy store in Home Alone, but like it had 4 more floors. Like Times Square Toys R Us used to be. There was not an active Ferris wheel inside this store, but holy smokes, this toy store is so cool. It was so cool. We did not ever make it over to like Harrods or Selfridges. I'm at peace with it. But this toy store, don't snooze on, it was amazing. They had everything you could ever want anywhere ever. Yes, in this toy store. So good. The last thing that we did before we grabbed our luggage and headed back to the hotel was the Graffiti Tunnel. So I guess it was like a tunnel where people just graffitied it a lot. And then now it is like a public art space, but like graffiti art. It's so cool. It's so gorgeous. Parts of our group didn't feel entirely comfortable there, but it's a different generational thing. We walked past people who were dressed nicely pushing a buggy carriage, like a baby in a buggy. It was well lit. It was gorgeous. It did smell like paint because graffiti. But it was just one of those fun, wild, and uniquely London things, the Graffiti Tunnel. So cool. Okay, so let's say something that we absolutely loved. There are clocks everywhere, and they are so wild and eccentric and different and gorgeous and ornate. There was one that we saw in Paddington where it looked like, it's a projection, but it looks like there's a man inside like wiping off the hands and redrawing them. There's a wild clock in Leicester Square that like did like a whole, like, it's like a 3D round like cuckoo clock thing. The clocks were amazing. Something I wish we had done differently was spend more time in the market. Specifically, Borough Market was where my heart was broken because it was really jam-packed, and it was the weekend, and it was just kind of like we were passing through and getting squished, and it was like smothering amount of people. But I wish we'd made a point to prioritize that maybe a little more, go first thing in the morning, something like that. So that is my drawback on that. I told you it wouldn't be another half-hour video, so I'm gonna wrap this up really quickly so that I'm not a big old liar. But guys, I hope that you found this helpful, entertaining, or informative. If you did, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me right on down in the comments or over on Instagram at Making Everyday Magic. And as I've stated, if there's anything that you want to see more about, hear more about, you can either, catch me over on Instagram where I will be sharing more, or ask me here and I will do my best to answer any questions or share as it's requested. Bye, guys.